Hello, welcome to my channel. Today's fanfic is Bakugo X Listener. This fanfic is made by Destiny_X17 on Wattpad. All credits go to her or him. By the way, there will be vulgar language here. If you are not comfortable, I suggest you click off. Now that's out of the way, I'm gonna start now. Why did you continue to push his buttons? You didn't have to say this idea. Maybe it has to do with the fact that you get a kick out of seeing him literally steam and shake with anger. Explosions popping from his hands when you tell him the harsh truth. What the fuck you said, you hag! He was currently being held back by Karishima and Zero, both having to use their cords to refrain him from getting to. You were snickering, a manic grin crossing your face, feeling your own quirk pulse in your fingers. Seeing him like this did things to you, and a sickening pleasure clawed up your spine at seeing the veins bulge in his neck and spit obscenities spilling from his mouth. It's not like you didn't hate him. No. It was the opposite, actually. You had the biggest crush on him. From his hot temper to his sometimes very sweet moments that he shared with the so-called backing squad. I was saying that I don't understand why you call people nerds when you're the biggest one. You go to bed at 8 p.m. sharp unless Mina or Kiri comes to get you. And you're literally number 3 in our class right now. Below Momo and Shoto, and those two get in through recommendations. Honestly, despite your grin, you're confused. Why was he getting upset about being a nerd? There's nothing wrong with having an amazing quirk and being one of the top students in the class. You weren't about to tell him that, though he already had a big enough ego for the whole class combined. Don't you compare me to one of those fucking extras! You shook your head at him, wanting to toy with him a little more. So now being smart is considered being an extra? Man, you're confusing. You shook your head again, having enough picking up your school bag and turning to start walking towards the dorms. You didn't bother looking behind you, but you can hear his screams all the way until you got into the main hall where everyone was at. Wine-chan! You turned smiling at Uraraka, who was already standing right next to you, with Ida screaming in the background at her about running while inside. Ah, but Ida-kun, isn't one of the rules about being inside is no yelling? He froze in his robotic way and stood up, bending at the waist, while apologizing profusely for being loud and disruptive and how it won't happen again. He's more adorable than he thinks. From his mannerism to his undercut. Mind you, he was the last person you thought would have an undercut. But to each his own. At ease, Ida-kun. I'm just teasing. He smiled, finding his blush endearing. Wine-chan, wanna come do homework and study with us? You turned your attention back to Uraraka, nodding your acceptance. That's how you spent the next hour or so studying with the Deku squad. And occasionally teasing Ida by not focusing on doing other things. You didn't even notice that the other squad came in until you felt a tap on your shoulder. Turning to see who it was, and was face to face for the grinning Kiri. Hey, Ellen-chan. I know you might be busy, but is it possible that you can... He was interrupted by Kaminari popping out of nowhere looking pitiful. Please help us! I'm going to fail and I can't fail another quiz or test. He was fake crying. Maybe some of it was real, but it wasn't like you were going to say no to them. They were so adorable. And Kiri was just a ray of sunshine. You moved over and they dove right in, opening up their books. Pens, pencils poised. That's how the next hour, very patient, or so of your day went by. You were very patient with Kaminari, even when he got the same question wrong 4 times in a row. You showed him once again, and he finally got it right. Wow, thanks, Ellen-chan. If it was Bakugou, he would have exploded on me for taking too long. Before you can answer, Mr. Explosive himself made an appearance from the kitchen. What was that, Dunface? You beat Kami to the punch, wanting to see Bakugo riled up again. He was saying in other words that I have way more patience than you ever will have. You grinned cheerfully and you felt the veins pumping in his head. And you decided to run and he will follow you. You made it to the door, glancing behind you to see Bakugo fighting to get to you, so you said something that surprised yourself. Let him go. You didn't want to see if they actually listened. You just told us not wanting to make it easy for him. You heard his battle cry, not wanting to make it easy for him. You heard his battle cry behind you and his explosions once he passed the gates. You moved towards the training grounds, and when you heard him get louder, you decided to use it for him. Purple fire lit up on the soles of your feet as you used it to propel yourself in the air. The fire having a buoyancy to it that let you move and bounce quicker. You glanced behind you to see gaining on you rapidly, and you smirked, planning something. It was more than likely not going to work considering his cat-like reflexes, but it was worth a shot. Anyway, you slowed down just a tad bit so he won't get suspicious, and right before he was going to grab you when you felt the heat of his explosion licking your neck, you twisted and bended backwards. The confused look that crossed his face was more than satisfying, and as he glided above you, you stood straight up using your right foot to send yourself flying towards him, latching onto his back. You were shocked that it even worked, and you couldn't help but let out a cackle. What the shit? Get the fuck off me! He was hissing and growling at you, but you paid it no mind. You simply rightened yourself, whispering lightly in his ear, You better hope you don't crash, Bakugou. He fell into stunned silence, which you counted as a victory as he propelled himself towards a tree. You thought he was going to crash on purpose, just to prove a point, but at the last minute, he landed on the ground. You got off his back, but he stayed turned away from you. I wasn't expecting you to actually follow me, he said, and you simply turned around facing the sun that was setting. You glanced at your watch, seeing it was 6:15, and you had a couple hours to make it back to the dorm before Aizo tore you both a new one. You sighed, deciding to turn back around since the quiet Bakugo was unnerving. What you weren't expecting was him to face with you. When the hell did he turn around? You didn't hear him not make one noise. But Becky, why do you hate me? Huh? You? Hate him? What is this boy on? You didn't know what to say. Too shocked to answer. You looked into his eyes and read his face to see if he was giving any hint of him joking or fucking around with you, and you saw none. Are you going to fucking answer me? He basically hisses out, getting into your personal space more so than what he is, and you didn't want to do or how to act. You dreamed about him giving you attention, but this was different. I don't hate you. His eyes narrowed at you, jaw tightening and moving as he was grinding his teeth. Grinding? Whatever. What did you say? He never did anything to show that you hated him. I always thought that you hated me. Hit, grabbing you around the waist, trapping your arms to your sides. Since when was his arm this long? You thought. Why the hell do you think I hate you? You wanted to hide. You knew your face was red, and you didn't want to face him like this. Not like this. Not like this. What happened to your brave face? You're always fucking with me, and now what? You don't know what the fuck to do anymore? He didn't give you a chance to answer, and for some reason, you wanted to cry. But you were stubborn and kept them at bay. I don't hate you, Katsuki. You're feeling emotional, and the only way you handle your emotions was through tears. But you didn't want to spill them. I was only teasing you. I never hated you. God, I like you. You only ever gave me attention when I would go toe to toe with you. But you always seemed so angry. You looked like you were ready to rip my head off, and you always wanted to fight me. You never even showed that you tolerated me. But they don't want to believe it. Fuck, now I realize it's my crush on you making me blind. You finally let a couple of tears go by. Your eyes were closed. You didn't want to face them. You don't want to face that inevitable, so you kept still. And when he let you go, you stifled the sob that wanted to escape you out of your throat. You jumped through when you felt a hand wiping your tears. Your eyes shot open, and you were utterly surprised to see Bakugo looking content for once. His brows weren't furrowed, nor was he clenching his jaw. I'm bad at this shit, but I don't hate you. I kinda like you. Were your tears deceiving you? But did he just say what you think he just said? You're flabbergasted, your jaw dropping as you stared at him. You frowned a bit, looking off to the side, but you didn't notice that pink dusting his cheeks. You didn't know what to feel or think anymore. You were going through a whirlwind of emotions, but you couldn't decide to say on one. Happy, sad, suspicious, skeptical, content? It was all too much. Can I get a hug? Of all the things you could have said, you decided to ask that. Way to be smooth, Ellen. He snorted before pulling you in by the waist and wrapping his arms around you. You hesitated, but you eventually wrapped your arms around his neck, feeling how tense he was. You didn't know what compelled you, but you gently rubbed his neck and shoulders, hoping to ease some of the tension. To your relief, you felt some of it leave, and you were more than happy to help. You didn't know what any of this means, this mess of feelings, emotions. You didn't even know what to call this relationship that you two have. Whatever it was, you two would figure it out. All you're worried about in this moment is being in his arms, inhaling the scent of cinnamon and natural dry serum that spelled comfort. Wow, you made it to my awkward end card. Congrats. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. I hope you like